At the beginning of the story, Alicia is playing outside alone, while her father is working in the nearby fields. After finishing his work, her father calls her to head back home, and Alicia walks over to him. Then, the two of them start walking toward their house. After reaching home, her father starts carving something out of wood, while Alicia stands nearby, looking at the map of Edthea hanging on the wall. A question arises in her mind: why is the entire area around Edthea marked in black? She asks her father about it. Her father is surprised that Alicia is now old enough to ask such a question. Then he explains that those dark areas are home to dangerous dark beasts. And every attempt to explore those areas has been thwarted by the 4 dark beast lords. Because of those 4 dark beast lords, they haven't seen the world beyond the Edthea continent for many years. Then he tells her about an ancient Edthean legend, which says that a hero will defeat the 4 dark beast lords using a weapon given by the king of Haydn. Alicia curiously asks if the dark beasts are powerful. Her father explains that it's believed they're so powerful they could tear the earth apart from the sky. That's why, to defeat them, the hero must obtain a special weapon from the king of Haydn, one that multiplies the wielder's strength many times over. Hearing this, Alicia gets excited and says that one day she'll become a hero and free the world from the dark beasts. Just then, the wheel of Alicia's carriage hits a rock, and she wakes up from her dream. Alicia is now a hero, and along with 12 other heroes, she is heading into the Dark Lands to defeat the Dark Beast Lords. Each of them carries a special red weapon given by the King of Haydn, known as a regalia. All the heroes are chatting with each other. One of them notices that among all the male heroes, Alicia is the only female. He tries to start a conversation with her, but just then, another hero warns everyone to stay alert. They've now entered the territory of the Dark Beasts. One of the heroes doesn't like how he's acting like their leader. Another hero explains that he's the strongest among them, that's why he's taking charge. Suddenly, their carriage comes to a halt, and the rider informs the heroes that it can't go any farther. Just then, a dark beast suddenly grabs the rider and takes him away, and the group is ambushed by dark beasts. All the heroes quickly jump out of the carriage and realize they're surrounded by dark beasts from all sides. Their leader orders the archers and spearmen to clear a path and tells Alicia to handle the remaining dark beasts with him. The archers and spearmen then launch a coordinated attack on the dark beasts, and soon the path is cleared. They enter a dark cave, which leads to the home of the Dark Beast Lord. But they're unaware that the Beast Lord is watching them from a distant cliff. Inside the cave, they're attacked by numerous dark beasts, but the heroes, using their powerful regalia, take them down one by one with ease. They face no real trouble defeating the creatures and soon reach the other end of the cave, where they encounter a 4-headed hydra. However, their leader slices off all 4 of its heads in a single strike with his regalia. After that, they all make their way out of the cave. A little further ahead from the cave, they spot a mountain. On its peak stands the Dark Beast Lord, watching them. The Beast Lord welcomes them with a powerful lightning strike. His body begins to glow with light, and several dark, shadowy tails emerge behind him. Seeing this, the heroes immediately realize that this is the Dark Beast Lord, Clavitus. Seeing Clavitus in front of them, the heroes instantly realize how powerful he truly is, and fear begins to creep into their hearts. To break that fear, their leader gives an inspiring speech and urges everyone to attack Clavitus together. All the heroes charge toward Clavitus at once, but suddenly, Clavitus strikes with his sharp tail. The leader is sent crashing into a rock and is left barely conscious. Clavitus then begins to take them down one by one. His tail emerges from the heroes' own shadows and strikes them fatally. Alicia notices the tail coming out of the shadows, and quickly warns the others to jump into the air and stay away from their own shadows. But before the other heroes can fully grasp what she means, it's already too late. Clavitus has struck them with his tail. Alicia sees the tail coming toward her and swiftly spins in the air, narrowly dodging the attack. Clavitus takes pleasure in fighting these heroes. It's been thousands of years since he last battled like this. He begins to wonder how these weak, insect-like beings have suddenly become so powerful that they made it this far. What has changed in these past 1,000 years? And why are they coming here now? Lost in these thoughts, Clavitus lets his guard down, giving Alicia the perfect opening. She charges in and strikes him, leaving a scratch on his horn. Enraged by the attack, Clavitus lashes out and sends her flying with a powerful blow, killing Alicia in an instant. After wiping out all the heroes, Clavitus decides to launch an attack on Haydn's capital. That night, a calm silence rests over Hydrate, the capital of Haydn. Suddenly, a man notices a strange smoke rising from a nearby tower. As he looks up at the sky, Clavitus suddenly descends from above, landing atop the tower. The moment people see Clavitus, panic breaks out. Everyone starts running in fear. Standing above, Clavitus watches the chaos unfold. He remembers that those heroes were sent into his territory by the king of Haydn. And so, he blames the king for everything. Clavitus decides to kill the king. Just then, the royal army arrives and begins firing arrows at him, but Clavitus easily deflects them. With his eyes set on the king, he charges toward the palace at full speed. Any soldier who tries to stop him is instantly taken down. Within moments, Clavitus reaches near the palace. Seeing him approach, the guards try to stop him by launching massive stones, but Clavitus shatters them effortlessly with his sharp tail. Then, with a powerful leap, Clavitus lands right in front of the palace gates. After once again deflecting the guards' attacks, he wipes out the remaining soldiers. By now, news of Clavitus's assault reaches the king inside the palace. Realizing what's happening, the king understands that the heroes he had sent have all been killed. The king rises and begins walking toward the forge. His general pleads with him to flee the palace, but the king refuses. He's determined to secure the forge as quickly as possible. Outside the palace, the remaining soldiers prepare for a final assault on Clavitus. They roll out several ballistae and take aim at him. One soldier warns that their shots might hit the palace as well, but despite the risk, their commander gives the order to fire. Meanwhile, Clavitus stands near the palace, lost in thought, wondering what had made those heroes so powerful. Just then, the soldiers launch their attack, but he catches all the bolts midair with his tail. That's when it hits him. It's the humans' weapons that give them their strength. And so, he decides to destroy not just the humans, but also every weapon they possess. Meanwhile, the king places his hand on the special forge's door, unlocking it. But just as he's about to step inside, he hears the sound of the roof beginning to crack. Quickly, he shuts the door and looks up. Suddenly, Clavitus tears off the palace roof with his tails. As the roof is ripped away, Clavitus spots the king, and immediately recognizes him by his royal attire. Clavitus moves toward the king, but instead of showing fear, the king speaks to him with pride and defiance. This angers Clavitus, who warns him that if he doesn't like his answer, he will wipe out all of humanity. Clavitus then asks the king why he seeks his death. When the king refuses to answer, Clavitus kills him on the spot. Clavitus then completely destroys the palace and begins to walk away, thinking about raising an army to wipe out humanity for good. But just then, he hears the sound of a child crying from within the rubble. He turns to find a baby crying amid the debris, with his mother lying nearby in a barely conscious state. The moment she sees Clavitus, she pleads with him to save her child. Clavitus is taken aback by this and introduces himself, telling her that he has decided to erase humanity from the world. He coldly adds that the child, simply by being born human, is responsible for his own fate. The woman pleads, saying the child is innocent and had no part in what the adults have done. In response, Clavitus says that one day this child will also grow up, take up a sword, and attack the lands of the dark beasts, just like the others. Saying this, he decides to kill the child and tells the woman that if the child is truly worthy of life, then he must prove his worth. With her last breath, the mother replies, "He will prove his worth when he grows up." And with those final words, she dies. After the woman dies, the child begins to cry once again. Clavitus lifts the baby with his tail and silently walks away, taking the child with him. There are 5 distinct human races that inhabit the continent of Edthea. Duns, the most numerous among all, they are skilled in architecture and strategic planning. Orgites, forest dwellers, known for their expertise in hunting and crafting herbal medicines. Slatans, they live near water bodies and are highly adept swimmers. Benti, residents of the wastelands, often seen as barbarians due to their rough and rugged lifestyle. Haydnians, masters of forging and refining, they are the only race whose royal family has the ability to forge weapons from arcanesite, a rare and powerful material. Clavitus returns to Luna Mountain with the baby and leaves him inside a cave. As the child lies there alone, a few dark beasts approach out of curiosity, but Clavitus quickly reappears, and the beasts flee in fear. The baby starts crying again, this time out of hunger. Clavitus restores the child's strength using his power, but he grows concerned. If the child's hunger isn't satisfied soon, he won't survive. He also begins to worry about the child's hygiene. Just then, the baby defecates. In response, Clavitus tosses him into a pit filled with insects. The bugs crawl all over the baby, consuming the filth and cleaning him completely. Clavitus then gently picks up the baby with his mouth and carries him to the place where the bodies of the fallen heroes still lie. Upon arriving, he walks toward Alicia's lifeless body and brings her back to life. Alicia slowly opens her eyes, confused and disoriented, unable to understand how she's alive again. Just then, Clavitus appears before her and tells her that he has revived her using a substance known as dark ichor, which now flows through her, giving her life once more. Alicia doesn't fully understand what Clavitus is saying, but she notices that her severed leg has somehow been restored. Then, using his power, Clavitus commands her to feed the baby. Under the influence of his power, Alicia loses control over her body and reluctantly uncovers her chest. However, no milk comes out. She then turns to Clavitus and explains that only a mother's body can produce milk. Alicia feels deeply ashamed of her situation and pleads with Clavitus to kill her again. But he refuses. Just then, the baby begins to cry once more. Clavitus orders Alicia to do something to calm him down and asks her how to feed the child. Alicia tells him he'll need to hire a wet nurse, a woman who breastfeeds babies in exchange for payment. Clavitus then asks where he can get money for that. Alicia suggests selling the arcanosite found in the mountains. As Clavitus prepares to head into the city to find a wet nurse, Alicia stops him and warns that if he enters the city in his current monstrous form, it'll cause mass panic, and he'll never find what he's looking for. Realizing she's right, Clavitus uses his power to transform into a human form. Alicia is stunned to see the change, but quickly points out that his tails are still visible. Clavitus then conceals them within his shadow. To blend in among humans, Clavitus adopts the name Clen, and names the baby Luna. Then, with Alicia and the baby, he begins the journey toward the city. Along the way, Alicia stops by a riverbank to clean up Luna. Clen stands nearby, watching closely to make sure she's doing it properly. At the slightest sign of carelessness, he scolds her sharply, like a strict father or master. After the cleaning, Clen inspects Luna himself. Once satisfied, he orders Alicia to wash herself as well and tells her to clean Luna's clothes too. Alicia takes the clothes and steps into the river to bathe. As she begins scrubbing the fabric, her eyes catch a symbol, the royal crest of Haydn, stitched into the cloth. Realizing this, she instantly understands. Luna is from the royal family. Meanwhile, a soldier from Haydn is searching through the ruins of the destroyed palace, calling out loudly in hopes of finding any survivors. But no voice answer. Looking around at the devastation, he can't believe that just one beast lord was responsible for such destruction. Anger rises in him toward the king, for it was the king who had decided to confront the beast lord. Frustrated and disheartened, the soldier turns and walks away. From a distance, soldiers from a neighboring nation observe the ruined city. Seeing the devastation, General Drell concludes that the legendary tales of Haydn's powerful weapons must have been false. He then orders his men to send word to their king, informing him that the story of Haydn's weaponry was likely a lie. With the intention of uncovering the secrets of arcanosite smithing, Drell commands his soldier, Maynard, to search for any surviving members of the royal family. Alicia shows Clen the royal cloth and accuses him of kidnapping a royal child. But Clen calmly replies that he had no idea the baby belonged to the royal family, that the child was simply given to him by a woman who looked just like her. When Alicia refuses to believe him, Clen reveals that he's the one who killed the king of Haydn. This revelation shocks Alicia. She realizes that people must be desperately searching for Luna, because only members of the royal family have the ability to forge those legendary weapons. Hearing this, Clen begins to see it all as fate, that it must be destiny he ended up saving this child. He decides to raise Luna as the next king, guiding him from the shadows, so he can keep a close eye on humanity. And if he ever chooses to, he can bring about their destruction whenever he wishes. Listening to Clen's twisted plan, Alicia realizes she's made a huge mistake by revealing Luna's royal identity. But now, she has no choice but to follow his commands. Clen sets off on his journey to find a wet nurse, with Alicia following close behind, carrying the pouch of arcanicite. Just then, a group of bandits suddenly surrounds them. One of them sneaks up from behind and strikes Clen on the head. He falls to the ground, blood spilling from his skull. At that moment, Alicia is struck on the head as well, and she collapses, falling unconscious beside Clen. Once the wheel of the cart hits a rock, and Alicia wakes up. Sitting nearby, Clen tells her that they've been captured, but assures her there's nothing to worry about, and Luna is perfectly fine too. Alicia, surprised, asks him how he got injured from just one attack during the bandits' ambush. Clen replies that he hadn't realized how fragile a human body could be. But for now, he is human, and until he makes Luna the king, he won't let anyone know his true identity. Then he asks Alicia where they are being taken. She tells him they've been captured and are being taken to some slave traders. The cart comes to a stop at the bandits' hideout. The bandits begin unloading the captives and start taking them toward their prison. One of the captives tries to escape, but a bandit throws a knife at him, killing him on the spot. The bandits then warn everyone that anyone who disobeys them will meet the same fate. After that, they grab Alicia and take her with them. Clen watches her being taken away when suddenly a girl calls out to him and asks him to come closer. She notices that Clen has a child with him, so she calls out to her maid, Nell. As Nell walks toward them, she slips and falls, which makes the girl scold her. Then she orders Nell to take care of Luna. Nell looks at Luna, and a sparkle appears in her eyes. Meanwhile, the bandits take Alicia to their leader Vroko. Vroko shows her the alkanite pouch that was found on her. He questions how she came to possess such pure alkanite, which is only found near the caves of the Clavitus. He recalls that recently, 13 heroes had ventured near those caves, and among them was a woman. He begins to suspect that Alicia is that very hero. His suspicion turns into certainty when Alicia shows no fear in front of his dangerous pet troll. Vroko then shows Alicia a dagger, claiming its tip is made of manahydrite, something only the royal family of Hidden can forge. But the weapon is actually a fake. They deal in such counterfeit weapons along with slaves. That's why Vroko is desperate to get his hands on real regalia. However, most heroes die in the Dark Beast territory, and their regalia are left behind, making it impossible for him to acquire them. Vroko then questions Alicia about her and the other 12 heroes' regalia, convinced she must have hidden them somewhere. But Alicia refuses to say anything. Frustrated, Vroko orders his men to interrogate her and get information about the regalia. But the men express their desire to have fun with her instead. Vroko angrily scolds them, reminding them that extracting information about the regalia is far more important. Clen stands in the bar, holding a pot of food. All the bandits are drinking heavily. He glances toward the kitchen, where Nell is feeding Luna milk, and the sight fills her with joy. Just then, a bandit orders Nell to bring him some alcohol, so she sets Luna down and goes out to serve the drink. Meanwhile, Clen starts serving vegetables to the bandits on their plates. The bandits seem to like Clen's obedient behavior. However, the girl finds him a bit intimidating, because of the horn on his head and his glowing red eyes. Suddenly, some bandits deliberately trip Nell, and using punishment as an excuse, they forcibly drag her outside the bar. Clen sees the bandits taking Nell outside and quietly follows them. The bandits tie Nell to a wooden post and beat her brutally. Once they're satisfied, they begin heading back to the bar. But suddenly, they start vomiting blood and collapse to the ground. Clen then absorbs their bodies into his shadow. Nell, worried about Luna, starts heading back toward the bar. On the way, she runs into Clen, carrying Luna safely in his arms. He hands Luna over to Nell, and she begins feeding her. Clen then asks Nell how long she's been with the bandits. Nell tells him she's been with them since birth. She knows nothing about her father and barely remembers her mother's face. Her mother was also a slave who was constantly tormented by the bandits. But when Nell turned 12, her mother ran away and left her behind. After that, the bandits began abusing her instead. She lost most of her teeth, and one of her ears was damaged. It was on that day she realized her mother had stayed all those years just to protect her. Since that day, she was treated badly every single day. Her situation only improved slightly when she started working under Carmi. Carmi taught her how to handle men, though Nell was never able to do it like the others. Still, she's content, because she gets to feed and care for children. Clem asks her about her own child. She tells him that she had once given birth, but the baby was stillborn. After that, she sank into a deep darkness of despair and felt like dying. But then, when she opened her eyes, there was a 6-month-old baby drinking her milk. Seeing that baby feeding from her brought a spark of joy into Nell's hopeless life. After that, more children started coming to her for milk every day, and slowly, she gave up her desire to die. Even after that, she became a mother several times, but each time, her child was stillborn. That's why she chose to stay here and made it her purpose to feed the children, because doing so brings her immense happiness. Clem thanks Nell for sharing her story and asks her to come with him. He wants to hire her as Luna's wet nurse. Nell thanks Clem for the offer, but gently refuses. She says she wants to stay here and continue feeding the children who may come in the future. She then hands Luna back to him and quietly walks away. The bandits are escorting Alicia across a wooden bridge. Below the bridge is a body of water, and the bandits warn her not to try jumping, because there are rocks underneath, and the fall would kill her. Alicia looks around and realizes this is an old arcanocite mine. On the other side, the bandits are forcing a slave to jump into the water against his will. They ask if she's ever heard the story of the hero Cordwar, and Alicia immediately understands. They're searching for Cordwar's regalia, the steam spitter, a weapon that once split a waterfall in half right in front of the king. The slave reminds the bandits of their promise, and then jumps into the water to search for the steam spitter. But the moment he dives in, creatures called Arvensis, lurking in the water, attack him. Right before everyone's eyes, they tear him apart and devour him. Arvensis are dark beasts of the water, swept into this place by a great flood 300 years ago. Even the legendary hero Cordwar, the strongest of his time, couldn't defeat them. Angered by the slave's death, Alicia demands to know why they didn't tie a rope to him. The bandits coldly remind her that she's their slave and already has shackles on her body. They also point out that their men are eagerly waiting for her on the other side of the bridge. Just then, a blind bandit named Fito leaps onto the bridge. Armed with 2 daggers, he locks onto Alicia's position by listening to the sound of her heartbeat. To escape, Alicia dislocates her shoulder to loosen the shackles. She then traps Fito in her arms and jumps off the bridge with him. Both of them crash onto the rocks below, and their bodies shattered beyond recognition. Alicia is still alive, but she can't feel anything below her neck because all her bones are broken and a lot of blood has already come out. She tries to move her body, but just then, her blood takes the shape of a small Clavitus. Then Clavitus says that it's because of the dark ichor he gave her that she's still alive, and as long as he needs her, he'll keep her alive. He then tells her that he has found a good wet nurse for Luna, someone the bandits treat very badly. But even after that, when he offered her a chance to escape, she refused. Clavitus asks why she would do that, and Alicia explains that he too is a slave like her, and that's why she couldn't trust him. Clavitus asks what he should do, so Alicia tells him to kill the bandits. But Clavitus doesn't want anyone to know that he has left Luna Mountain and come here, so instead, he orders Alicia to deal with the bandits herself, after which he leaves. Just then, the bandits also come down, and at that moment, Alicia's body starts to heal. The sound of each bone snapping back into place sends shivers down the bandits' spines. They all stare at her in shock. Alicia's body completely heals, but the process causes her immense pain. Seeing Alicia alive, the bandits can't believe their eyes. Then they draw their weapons and move forward to attack her. Alicia grabs one of the bandits and punches him hard, then takes his eye patch and ties it over her own damaged eye. Meanwhile, Clem is looking for Nell again to talk to her. Nell returns to the kitchen, where the girl is waiting for her. She sees that the bandits have beaten her up badly once again, so she reminds her that she should use the techniques she taught her on men. Then she tells Nell to start cleaning the dishes in the kitchen. Nell happily gets to work, so the girl asks her why she's happy even after getting beaten. Nell replies that she was just wondering what the outside world might be like. The girl gets angry and asks why she's thinking about such things, if she's planning to escape. Nell then tells her that someone had asked her to leave this place. The girl gets furious that Nell is even thinking about being free and starts hitting her. Rocco, who happens to be passing by, overhears their conversation and enters the kitchen. The girls are startled to see him there. Then Rocco orders Nell to follow him, and the innocent Nell happily starts walking behind him. The girl wants to stop Rocco, but is too afraid to say anything. A little while after Nell leaves, Clem arrives there looking for her. But the girl tells him that Nell will never return now because she expressed a desire to be free from here. Hearing this, Clem becomes worried for her, so he uses his powers to learn everything from the girl. Rocco starts leading Nell through a tunnel to a secret location. Nell quietly follows him into the dark passage. After walking for a while, her foot hits a human skull, which scares her. But Rocco tells her it's just a rat's skeleton. A little further ahead, he suddenly puts out the lantern, plunging everything into darkness. Innocent Nell gets scared and starts calling out to Rocco. Rocco makes an excuse, saying the lantern went out by mistake. But as soon as he lights it again, Nell sees a hungry troll standing right behind her, and she becomes terrified. Rocco explains that he conducted research with Arcanite, and created a drug that has allowed him to control the troll. He brings anyone who dreams of freedom here to be punished. Then he commands the troll, Betty, to eat Nell. Hearing this, Nell starts running away, regretting that she had rejected Clem's offer. Just then, she sees Clem and Luna standing behind Rocco. But before she can react, Betty devours her in one bite. Luna starts crying after seeing this, which alerts Rocco to their presence. Clem then asks what a troll is doing under his control. Rocco finds it strange that Clem is staying so calm in front of Betty. He orders Betty to eat them. But the moment Betty sees Clem in front of him, she trembles with fear so badly that she starts vomiting, bringing out Nell's half-dead body in the process. Rocco gets busy trying to calm Betty down, so Clem has Luna sit beside Nell. Then, using his horn, he lifts them and sends them far away to a safe place. Rocco looks at Clem in surprise, and he's even more shocked when he realizes that Luna and Nell are no longer there. Rocco starts to believe that Clem knows some kind of magic, so to deal with him, he takes out a vial of Arcanite powder mixed with insect larvae. These larvae reduce the thinking ability of host creatures, allowing Rocco to control them. He pours the powder into the lantern, causing it to spread throughout the tunnel. As soon as Betty inhales the powder, she starts losing control. Then she punches Clem hard. The blow from Betty makes Clem feel pain, and blood starts dripping from his head. Meanwhile, Alicia has been fighting the group of bandits for a long time and is starting to feel exhausted. She begins to remember her childhood days, when she used to train with her father. Alicia used to ask him how to become stronger, and her father would advise her to get rid of her hesitation. Alicia overcomes her hesitation and takes down 8 bandits at once, but while blocking an attack with her sword, she falls to the ground and her sword breaks. Alicia stands up once again and starts running away from the bandits, searching for a better sword. The group of bandits chases her like a pack of hungry dogs. While running, Alicia reaches near the water and gets the idea of retrieving the steam spitter. She starts moving toward the diving board. The bandits think she's about to jump into the water, but instead, Alicia picks up an axe along the way, climbs the fence, and begins dropping barrels of fruit into the water. As the bandits climb the fence to catch her, Alicia cuts the rope with the axe, causing the fence to collapse and everyone to fall into the water. The moment they hit the water, the Arvenses start devouring the bandits one by one. But Alicia cleverly hides inside one of the barrels and begins sinking underwater. She's not like the others, she won't die even if she runs out of air underwater. And just like that, she slowly begins to descend deeper into the underwater section. As Alicia continues deeper into the water, it becomes incredibly painful for her to breathe. She knows she won't die, but her body still fights to stay alive. Despite the agony, she chooses to endure it until she finds the sword. Eventually, she hits the bottom of the lake and tumbles out of the drum. In the dim surroundings, she spots the sword and starts swimming toward it. But as she gets closer, a massive eye suddenly opens. She realizes she's resting on top of a giant dark beast. Before she can reach the sword, the creature opens its mouth and pulls her inside. Alicia manages to grab the sword, and memory flashes in her mind. Her father once told her that her arms may be weaker than a man's, but she has a rare gift for drawing out a sword's true strength. Channeling that belief, she powers up and breaks free from the beast's mouth. Almost instinctively, she begins to understand how to wield the sword's power. It feels alive, like a fish, and the water only makes it stronger. She pushes toward the surface, but the massive dark beast charges after her. Alicia soon realizes this creature is an ancient terror, a dark beast said to have existed for tens of thousands of years. Even with the regalia enhancing her strength, she still can't breathe underwater. So she channels the sword's power to boost her speed and launches herself out of the lake. The dark beast follows soon after, erupting from the water and unleashing chaos with its enormous, octopus-like tentacles, attacking everything in sight. Alicia realizes that a single hero can't defeat an ancient beast, so she decides to leave the area. The dark creature continues its rampage, attacking everything in sight. Desperate, the bandits plead with Alicia for help, but she refuses, convinced they don't deserve to be saved. She leaves them to face the consequences, and the beast devours them all alive. Once Alicia reaches a safe height above the lake, she briefly wonders if the creature will emerge onto the surface. But she remains confident it won't. For now, she's satisfied, knowing the bandits are gone for good. Then Clem begins speaking to her through the dark ichor flowing inside her body. He immediately senses what happened. He can smell the blood and knows she's killed all the bandits. Alicia complains that it was a brutal fight and questions why he didn't come to help. Clem apologizes and explains he's been occupied with a problem of his own. He's dealing with a technique unlike anything he's seen before. Still, he managed to kill Betty, and now Rocco is fleeing for his life. As Rocco continues to run, he stumbles upon Luna and Nell. A twisted smile spreads across his face. Clem wants to learn more about Rocco's technique, so he commands Alicia to come to him, and she arrives as quickly as she can. Once she's there, Clem asks about the sword. Expecting him to take it, Alicia immediately refuses to hand it over. Curious about the red smoke there, Alicia brings it up. In response, Clem reveals a rat in his hand, completely unaffected by the smoke, leading him to conclude that it only affects dark beasts. He then admits that he can't smell anything and that his ears are ringing, signs that the smoke has left its mark on him too. Therefore he can't sense Luna and Nell's location. So he orders Alicia to do something about it, assuming she knows more about the technique. Alicia admits she's heard of it before, but has no idea how to dispel the smoke. Disappointed, Clem calls her worthless and heads off in a direction to search for them himself. Alicia then asks Clem what he would do if Luna is already dead. Clem replies coldly that he would lose all interest in humanity. But the way he says it convinces Alicia of something deeper. If Luna dies, he will wipe out humanity, and she's the only thing holding him back. They both move forward to search for them. Along the way, Alicia spots a trail of blood on the ground. Clem identifies it as Nell's, but notes she shouldn't have been able to move in her condition. Alicia quickly concludes that something must have dragged her away and immediately rushes in that direction. Rocco has kidnapped Luna, dragging Nell along with him as she desperately tries to stop him. But in her weakened condition, there's little she can do. He tells her to let go, but she refuses to release his cape. Frustrated and furious, Rocco begins kicking her in the face, yet she still refuses to let go. Rocco grows increasingly desperate to escape with Luna. Earlier, as he approached her to snatch her away, she began crying, and her scream shattered his lantern. That moment made him realize something vital: Luna has magical talent. Now, determined more than ever, he's willing to do whatever it takes to kidnap her. Rocco pulls out his sword to cut Nell's wrist, but Alicia and Clem arrive just in time. Shocked to see Alicia, Rocco wonders what happened to his men. Clem coldly informs him that they were all devoured by the dark beast. Then Rocco places Luna's hand against his sword, warning them that if they come any closer, he'll cut off her fingers. Clem tells him to go ahead, as he can simply heal the wounds. But Alicia reminds him that he can't erase the pain, and calmly asks to handle the situation herself. Alicia then reveals her regalia and hurls it at a rock wall behind Rocco. The moment Rocco sees the hidden crest on the weapon, he realizes it's a lost regalia, one they'd been searching for years. Alicia offers him a deal. He can take the sword, but he'll need both hands to pull it from the rock. So, she tells him to let go of Luna and take the sword instead. But Alicia's offer only confirms Rocco's suspicions. He becomes certain that Luna is a royal Hedenian child, far more valuable than a single regalia. His confidence grows, and he demands Alicia reveal the location of all 13 regalias, threatening to kill the baby if she refuses. Clem advises her to cooperate, and Alicia tells Rocco about the place where Clem once discarded all the swords. However, Rocco never intended to release Luna. Instead, he scatters a strange black powder around himself. Then, to activate its magic, he forces Luna to cry, triggering the powder's effect and rendering them both invisible. Rocco slowly begins moving away, confident they'll never catch him while he remains invisible. But Alicia locks onto his position and, with a single precise slash of her regalia, slices him in two. As he dies, he wonders how she was able to detect him. Alicia explains she couldn't see him, but she could hear his movements, and Luna's crying gave him away. Rocco dies while still cloaked in invisibility. And Clem quickly catches Luna from his lifeless hands, then removes the black powder from her body, making her visible again. They soon notice Nell lying nearby, barely alive. Alicia looks at Clem and asks if he can save her. But he reveals that he can only control one person through the dark ichor, and that one person is Alicia. Nell is missing several body parts, and Clem hesitates. Restoring her would require a complex reconstruction, and he's unsure if she's worth the effort. But Alicia insists he save her, reminding him that Nell protected Luna until the very end. Clem warns her that to heal Nell, he'll need to extract the dark ichor from Alicia, which means she'll have to die during the process. Alicia doesn't hesitate. She's a hero, and she accepts the cost. Clem immediately pulls the ichor from her body and begins the restoration. After some time, Nell awakens, shocked to be alive, and even more confused by the fact that all her teeth are back. Clem tells her he had to work hard to rebuild her body and adds that it was Alicia's decision to save her. Not long after, Alicia regains consciousness and instinctively reaches for her regalia. Meanwhile, Clem turns to Nell and calls her Naluru as he gently hands over Luna. Nell is surprised by the name, and Clem explains that she has been reborn, so she deserves a new name. Nell smiles, happily accepts her new identity, and decides to join their group. Later, Clem decides to confiscate Alicia's regalia to avoid drawing unnecessary attention. However, he promises to return it when the time comes. Nell returns after packing everything they might need for the journey, and Alicia is surprised by how effortlessly she's carrying such a heavy load. Nell casually mentions that her body actually feels very light now, and she even insists on carrying Alicia's sword and armor. Alicia also admits she no longer has her sword. So Nell then mentions that Rocco kept some good swords in his desk. Alicia immediately asks Clem for permission to take one, and he agrees. Without wasting time, she rushes into the cabin to search. As Clem and Nell wait outside, Clem asks if Nell is going to miss this place. She admits that having lived her entire life here, leaving it does make her a little sad. Then suddenly a man attacks Clem from above. Meanwhile, Alicia reaches Rocco's cabin and begins rummaging through the drawers. She finds a set of women's leather armor and decides to wear it to help reduce the pain in flights. In another drawer, she finds a selection of swords and chooses one that feels right. Just as she turns to leave, the wall behind her bursts open and Clem crashes through it violently. Right after, the attacker steps in through the rubble. Alicia instantly senses his strength and draws her sword. The man suddenly strikes Alicia with a flying kick. She dodges, but the blow still grazes her cheek. He follows up with a flurry of mid-air kicks, and Alicia barely manages to block them using her sword. Without slowing down, he unleashes a powerful wind attack that sends Alicia flying out of the cabin. He leaps after her and demands she hand over Luna. Alicia refuses. She knows he's dangerous, so she retaliates with her hidden sword technique Rising Dragon. But just as the attack is about to land, Clem stops her with a sharp command. Clem then explains the man is attacking because of a misunderstanding, and if he hadn't stopped her, that incoming kick would have torn her body apart. The man points a finger at Nell and questions why she reeks of a western troll. Nell calmly explains that she was swallowed by one. He then reveals he's searching for a small man who controlled a troll, and says he discovered the corpse of a troll missing several body parts. Based on that, he assumes Clem is the one who killed it because of his short height. Once Clem understands the situation, he orders Nell to wait outside. After she steps away, he turns to Alicia and explains that the man is actually a dark beast who is currently under the influence of a powerful illusion. Even Clem himself is unable to see the man's true form because of it. Clem becomes certain that the man must have wings and talons, traits belonging only to one being, Zavthir of Phantasms, the dark beast lord of the West. The powerful illusion confirms it. The man, suspicious, demands to know how Clem could recognize such magic. Clem responds by revealing that he too is a servant of a dark beast lord. Hearing this, the man reveals his true form, a towering, bird-like creature. He introduces himself as Gart, a servant of Zavthir, and states that Zavthir is now considering the full eradication of humanids. Gart then asks Clem to prove his allegiance. In response, Clem reveals his tail, an unmistakable mark of his origin. This convinces Gart of Clem's claim. Alicia, overwhelmed by what she's witnessing, begins to panic. The idea that there are dark beasts who can perfectly imitate humans shakes her to the core. She wonders if the heroes ever had any real chance against such enemies. Clem, sensing her thoughts, reassures her that only a few dark beasts possess the ability to take human form. Gart then questions why Clem is traveling with a hero, their natural enemy. Clem lies that he has placed a binding spell on her, one that forces her to obey his commands without question. He claims he's simply using her as a guide to navigate the humanoid world. Gart is satisfied with the explanation and accepts it. Clem then asks why Zavthir now seeks the destruction of the humanids. In response, Gart shares what happened 3 days ago in the Great Forest of the West. There, he noticed several dark beasts searching for their younglings. The scene struck him as unusual, and upon investigating the area, he discovered something troubling on the ground. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he reported it to Zavthir. He informed her that this marks the 9th case of a missing dark beast youngling. He suspects the true number is even higher and believes humanoids are behind the disappearances. Zavthir, who once hoped to build peaceful relations with the Orgites, loses all trust. With her patience exhausted, she sends Gart into the human world to investigate, and warns that if the suspicions prove true, she is fully prepared to wipe them out. Gart tells them he's come here searching for clues. Clem, however, suspects the situation runs deeper than just missing dark beast younglings. During his earlier interrogation of the woman who worked in the bar, he learned something troubling. She revealed that Vroko had been selling talented humanoid babies to some mysterious buyers. Clem believes these two events, the abduction of dark beast younglings and the trafficking of talented humanoid infants, are connected. Vroko's involvement only confirms one thing for Clem: magic is at the heart of this operation. He turns to Alicia, hoping she might have some insight. Alicia explains that wizards have recently emerged, wielding magic as a weapon of war. Despite their short presence in history, they've already transformed the battlefield. Their abilities are so critical that their presence often decides the outcome of a conflict. The first to deploy them in combat was General Drell. Drell, commander of the Bolade army, is the man who killed Alicia's father. Now, he orders his troops to advance. Their next target is the Haiden capital, and they are trying to cross the border fortress of Highgate. 6 kilometers away, at the Esland camp, 1st Royal Guard Commander Rod Royce commands his men to gather their forces west of Highgate. A soldier named Miguel arrives with grim news: Bolate's advance units have completely wiped out their scouts. Worse, Commander Drell is moving south with 50,000 soldiers. Rod suspects Drell's real goal is the city of Haiden. But with only 6,000 men under his command, there's little he can do. He kneels and draws a map into the dirt, explaining that Drell is approaching Highgate directly. Rod's plan is to intercept from the west and seal the gate before Drell's forces can flood through. Miguel questions whether Clevitus has truly destroyed the castle, but Rod insists they must believe it's true. That's why Bolate has sent their most powerful general, because they're after the royal forge. Without it, the kingdom would be unable to create the regalia used by their elite captains. Miguel immediately understands the danger. If Bolate discovers the forge's secrets, they could eventually conquer all of Edthia. Therefore, they must be stopped. Just then, another soldier reports that the Bolate army has breached the east gate. At that gate, Maynard waits for Commander Drell. Soon, Drell arrives with his massive army. Maynard informs him that King Haiden is confirmed dead, and the 6-month-old royal baby was last seen being taken by a boy with black hair, who is now missing. However, their Raven scouts have spotted a Haidenian baby who matches the prince's description. Hearing this, Drell orders his strongest military wizard Maynard to retrieve the baby and bring her to him.